Do you have a poem in you that is just dying to come out? Do you sometimes feel like if I just had an outlet, if I could just process this somehow, what if you could? What if there was a way you could take all these thoughts, all these emotions, and somehow channel it into something amazing and transformational? I'm so excited because I've got a special guest today, Kimberly Worthy, and she's not only a poet, she teaches poetry, and she shows us just how simple and easy it can actually be to make this an amazing part of your life. Kimberly, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. So I need to give a little information about you because you're amazing and I'm so excited. So she is the author of Poetry is Not Just Rhyming. And she's also an actress and she's the producer of the children's television show, Poetry and Life, which is beautiful. You're helping children access this in their lives, make this a part of an everyday thing, a journey for them. And also you teach English as a second language. Like I could just go down the list. Like you have so many different amazing things that you've done and you're experiencing. And I'm so excited for you to come on and share about how to really express yourself through poetry. I don't think people give themselves enough freedom. They don't realize that can be an incredible part of their lives. What do you think about that?
It's definitely very cathartic, especially with today's times. It's so much stress that's going on. And a lot of people, they are bottling that stress up and that causes health problems. So poetry gives you a release. And it can be a personal release. No one has to read your poetry. So you can write anything you want to write. That's the great thing about it. It's really no rules. Poetry is writing, but it's also just self-expression. Some people may express themselves by singing or dancing. So you have to find what's right for you. For me, my poetry is writing. It makes me feel calm. I can create the universe that I want. I don't have to just take my reality and just live in that reality. I might decide I want to go live here and I want to become this person. And then before you know it, I'm no longer stressed out about the things that I see here because I have created a safe place for myself.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful because basically you're talking about we can change our state.
Yes,
anytime we want to. We have the power to create our perception of life. It is kind of like there's always an opportunity to be grateful. There's always an opportunity to step out of fear and stress. And you're right. And these times, there's so many things going on in our heads. We're bombarded with information and media, and it's hard to process all of these things.
It is.
And if we have an outlet, something where we can take a pen on paper and just allow those thoughts to come out, and then like you said, create what we want to experience. Exactly. And I didn't even think about this before we got on, but I need to tell you something really cool about the power of poetry. Never thought about this until we started talking, but I used to write poems all the time, and it was when I was a new mom and I was struggling with that and anxiety and overwhelm. And I felt like that was just my safe place. I could just write and express myself and no one had to see that.
Exactly.
Well, my daughter, I wrote a poem about my daughter when she was just a couple days old. Just the magnitude of having this little baby shook me. And I just wrote about it. And she found that notebook when she was 17 years old. She found that. And she realized I'd written it about her. And I'm going to cry thinking about this, but she got a line from that poem and had it tattooed across right below her chest right there because it was so powerful for her. I had no idea.
That touched me. That story, it touched me.
Yeah.
Gosh. That's the power of poetry. You see how powerful it was for you, and then your daughter, she was able to take something from it as well. You just never know. Like I always tell people, your floor is someone else's ceiling. So when you're at the bottom, it's someone that's like, oh, I wish I was there. So you have no reason to be upset. Even at my lowest, I can still inspire someone to be better. That in itself make me feel like a better person.
Yeah. Instead of getting I think the smaller we let our world get, the more anxiety and depression and fear we start to hold on to. But when we can step outside of our reality or what we perceive is our reality. You know what I'm talking about, Kimberly?
Yes.
And then see like, wait a minute, there's so much more here. There's such a bigger experience. I'm part of such an enormous thing. If I can step out of my small mind and get into this bigger entity, like step into the God's mind and see what he has going on and step into gratitude instead of stress, it changes everything.
It does. That's really what inspired me to start writing poetry. Like when I was in school, I was bullied and I kept everything inside. I didn't tell anyone. I had one teacher that noticed the change in me. I used to be very vibrant. Then all of a sudden I kind of shut down. And she taught me about writing. She was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You don't want to tell me about it, but just write it down. You can tear it up if you don't want to share it. Just write it down. And I started to do that. And then the same teacher taught me about poetry and how to structure my words into poems. And that's what started my lifelong goal of teaching others how to express themselves.
That is so, have you written that teacher? I think, you know, that is incredible.
I tried to find her and it hurts my heart that I cannot find her. I don't know where she went.
Maybe she was just an angel.
Maybe.
That was sent here for a short time to make an impact on your life. And look at what she did, just the impact she made on your life. And now the impact you're making on other lives.
Exactly.
Right?
It was
That's what it's about.
Exactly. Just like faith. Have faith like as a mustard seed and it grows. It was a seed that she planted in me. Right. And that seed has grown, it's flourished, it's blossomed. And now I'm picking apples off that tree and I'm handing it to people that need those apples.
Oh, that's so powerful. We don't know like what is in us. I believe there's something in all of us. Like God says he's no respecter of persons. Like he doesn't say, I'm gonna bless you, and I don't know about you. I'll bless you, maybe not. Like exactly. Jesus said, I came that you would have life in abundance to the full till it overflows. He's not like category specific. He's like everybody.
Everyone.
So there is something in you. And what a beautiful thing. Like you used bullying, something that could crush you.
Exactly.
You know, it had the opportunity to crush you and you turned it around and you used it now as a blessing to bless others. And I know that whatever mess you've been through, that you can turn that into your message to get that out there and turn it into a blessing.
I love that. Turn your mess into your message.
Yeah. We all have the power to do that.
We do. I mean, because we're all spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, like spirits understand like spirits. We're all a spirit. And you have to like reach into yourself and find out what motivates my spirit, what makes me happy. And like you said earlier, it has to be something outside of yourself. It has to be, because when you become self-absorbed, that's when Satan has his way with you. Yeah. He plays with your mind. And once your mind is gone, everything else collapses. So this is something that we can control. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in a house and you can't go anywhere in your physical body. Right. This is what no one can touch. And you have to be in touch with your mind and your spirit. Because if you give that away, then you've given everything that God has given you away.
Right. And we don't understand how important it is to protect that, to protect our mind. Like as a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever we're holding in our mind, that's what we become in life. And if we're not proactive, then we're just going to become reactive and start defending ourselves against all the he has for us. And he's got a plan for us, just like God has a plan for us. And I heard one time that the number one way to create depression is think about nothing but yourself.
Oh, I like that. And that's so true. I can see that. That is so true. Yes. So
true. When the smaller you get, thinking about yourself and your problems and your issues, that it spirals downward. And I've been down that path. It's not a good path.
I think everyone to a certain extent has been down that path, whether they call it depression or I'm just having a bad day, but it's all because we're thinking about ourselves. And one thing that I love to do is volunteer. And the reason I volunteer is because to see other people that need things that I already have, that I take advantage of, I don't appreciate, that instills something in me that makes me feel better. And the better I feel, the better I can help other people. So I'm always like doing something, whether it's with children, whether it's donating clothes or items that I don't need and someone else needs.
Right.
If it's a volunteer mission that I can be a part of, I'm always there trying to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes me think we spend so much time and energy protecting ourselves.
Yes.
And even like if we don't feel free to write and express ourselves and journal and write poetry, we're still protecting ourselves because we don't want to feel stupid or look stupid or do something wrong. We're still trying to protect ourselves. If we're not getting out there and helping others, we're still trying to protect ourselves. Why? When God has us here for one shot to live in the biggest way possible.
That is so true, but it's because people in general, we put limits on our abilities. And one thing that I really dislike when people do, they may say, oh, there was only one such and such, only one such and such, like giving people God-like qualities. These are just men. They're men, just like you.
Yeah.
The same way that one particular person created something extraordinary, you have the same power as well. But in this society, we are so celebrity focused, where we give these people qualities that no one can have but them. Oh, they made it, so we must worship them. That's where we lose focus.
Yes, so true. We're all made of the same stuff.
Exactly.
God created us in the same way, in his spirit, in his image. We've all got the hard wiring. So there's not like the haves and the have-nots, or the lucky or the unlucky. There's, we all have the same wiring in us. If we can just use that and start just taking the next step, instead of saying, oh, there's such a huge gap between me and where I want to be and those celebrities. It's like, no, there's not.
It's not.
All you have to do is take the next step.
That is so true.
We are talking about so much more than poetry right now.
Well, it was a poem that I grew up on. I do not remember all of it, but the first two stanza, it was figure it out for yourself, my lad. You were born with all the greatest have had. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you'll be wise. That has stood with me for over 30 years.
Wow.
And whenever I start to feel down or I don't feel like something is moving fast enough, I repeat that to myself. I'm like, I was born with the same thing that Einstein had. 2 arms, 2 legs, or Oprah Winfrey. She has the same things that I have. And that motivates me that these people are no different. They have the same flesh. They still bleed the same blood as me. And that just keeps me going. So poetry, it can help your mental state.
Oh, man. Well, look at that one stanza, which guided 30 years of your life. I mean, that one stanza has inspired you to say, I can do the next thing. I can take, and that's all that separates me is the fear that I'm not enough, or I'll fail, or I'll screw up. Good, screw up, and then get back up and do it again.
Yes. Speaking of fear, we personify fear. That's a poetry concept I go over in my book, Personification.
Okay, you got to share about this. I'm soaking it up, girl.
Because we give fear human-like qualities. We're scared of it, just like you would be scared of a person. And so that fear blocks you. It's like, this is you, this is fear. On the other side of the fear is success. But if you're too afraid to confront that monster, whatever that fear is, you will never get to this side of success. So you might have a good life, but it will never be extraordinary. Like the same people you talk about on television, at one point of their life, I don't care who you ask, they will all say they had to jump over the break of fear to get to where they're going. It's impossible to live your fullest and be afraid. Of course, we have things that are going to come in our life that we're going to be afraid in our flesh. But this is about spiritual warfare. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot let whatever that demon is. A lot of times it can be childhood trauma. That could be your fear. You don't want to repeat the past. Or it could be, someone told you something. They made you start to doubt yourself. Because the thing of it is, most people innately are good people.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, I really do believe that in my heart. And the reason people can turn bad, it varies. But a lot of times people give you advice based on their own understanding. So if this is all they know,
Yeah.
they can't really give you any more advice. And it's not because of a malice reason. They are
Right.
not equipped with the information to give you. So that's why you have to keep your mind open to other things outside of your circle. You need to be around people that do not look like you, that do not talk like you. Travel places that no one else in your family has ever went, because I love to travel. That's one thing about me. I've been to like 8 countries in 3 years.
Okay,
So,
so we're gonna take a little trip together then.
okay.
Like that would be so much fun. Like imagine what adventures we would have. Life is supposed to be an adventure.
It is. It
Supposed
really
to be an
is.
adventure. But I want to touch back on something you said, that people are innately good. And I've always held this belief, and I've tried to explain to my kids, when they see injustice, when they see hate, when they see things that are so hard for a mom to explain,
Yes.
instead of believing that there are good people and bad people, I try to help them explain. I try to help them understand that people are doing the best they can with what they have, the
Yes.
tools that they have.
Exactly.
Maybe they've been through pain, maybe they've been through hurt, and we can never know that.
Yes,
So if we can think bigger, it now pulls on our compassion,
it
where we
does.
can be more understanding, we can be more open, and now we can process things that occur in this world with the eyes of our Father, through the eyes of love, where that love is the only thing that's going to fix it anyway.
That is so true. I'm 100% behind you with that. Yes.
Yeah. And so when we teach, and also we have to learn to love ourselves. I don't think enough people really appreciate who they are, and love and allow themselves enough compassion toward themselves.
Yes.
And again, that will keep us living small.
That is
You,
so.
you talk about this, we've got to get past the fear. Everything we want in life
Yes.
is always on the other side of fear.
Other
And I
side.
think about when, we walk through, you've got to go through the valley of the shadow of death. It's not death. It ain't going to
Yes.
kill you.
It's
It ain't going to
not.
kill you. It is a shadow. And
Yes.
shadows are just scary. So take the next step. Go walk through the valley, because that's how you get to the promised land.
Yes. I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because the 23rd Psalm has gotten me through some of the most difficult times. And I just find comfort in the Lord being my shepherd. He's my shepherd. I don't have to fear. I don't have to worry about how to get here, how to get there. I'm a sheep. I'm
Yeah.
following the shepherd.
Yeah.
See, we mess up when we try to become the shepherd. We cannot lead our lives. God has to be the center of your life, and you have to get direction from Him. And the only way to do that is to be one-on-one with Him. You have to forge your own relationship with God. You can't go off what I'm saying or what off your pastor is saying, because all of our stories are going to be different. Once you get into your prayer closet and you pray and you have that one-on-one connection with Him, then He will lead your life in where you want to go. Because it's funny, I wanted to be a singer. That's when I was leading my own life. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a judge, all these different careers before I actually became a writer, because this was Kim talking. But once I got that connection with God, please, what I really want to do is be a servant to you. And I want to affect the most change in as many people as possible. Where do you want me to go? How do you want to lead me? I had no idea that me being bullied would be a bigger story in my life. It didn't stop there, but I needed that to happen, because I needed that teacher, Miss Davis. I needed her to come to me. I needed her to tell me about poetry. I needed to go through all of that so I can be right here today speaking with you, inspiring other people. So even if you're going through the most horrible thing that you can think of, ask God why.
Yeah.
And He will tell you. It's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason, and keep going through it.
Yes.
Don't camp out there. Keep going through it. Take the
Yes.
next step, because it is not happening to you. It's happening for you, to bring you to a place like in your life, bring you to a place where otherwise you may never walk into. It
Exactly.
took the trauma, it took the pain to give you that purpose.
Yes.
And that, girl, we're about to have revival. Like,
I
I know we
know.
started talking about poetry, but we're about to pass the offering plate. We're going to sing another stanza. We're going to have some healing. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
So good. Now, we were talking earlier. I was like, I love how you make poetry so accessible for people as a way for them to express themselves, for healing to happen, for transformation to happen. And you talk about how poetry can help with our mental health. And I think we've touched on that. But I want you to share more about how our mental health, and I think I'm so excited because I think there's a new focus. There's more of a achievable focus, I think, right now for mental health. It used to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to a therapist. And now it's who's your therapist? Like, let me know who your therapist is.
It's
You know,
yes.
it's so much more accepted now. And how can we just be more, I don't know, aware of the importance of our mental health and use poetry to help with that?
Well, personally, I'm going to talk about Kimberly for a second. So,
girl, talk it up.
I can't talk about anybody else better than I can talk about me.
There you go.
So it was a time in my career before I became a writer, and I talked about a little bit, I wanted to be other things, but nothing was going correctly. Everyone was saying no, 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 no. And I started to doubt myself, and I became really depressed because I was like, I went to college. I graduated early from college. I graduated with a 4.0 from college. I can't even find a job. So I'm bringing that up because these kids graduating in 2020, it's going to be hard for them to find employment. It's hard for me to say that, but it is true.
Yeah.
So I really went into a depression. I felt like, what's the point of life? I mean, I did all this type of stuff. Nothing is going my way. So my mental health was going down very fast. And I started writing little notes to myself, just telling me about special things about Kim. Kim, you have a great smile. Kim, you are a good friend. Because even though I didn't have anybody to tell me that, I had to tell myself. I had to write those notes to myself. So I'm aspiring and hoping people would do that for themselves. Even if you are feeling down today, write something down about yourself that is nice. It's easy to say bad things. Bad just come off just
it's just natural.
It's natural. But when you think about the good, there again, your mental is not focusing on the bad. You've shifted gears. You know, like the old cliche, looking at the cup of water, is it half empty? Is it half full? So you have to think about your life like that. Am I just going to wallow in depression? Or am I going to find something, even if it's just one thing?
There's always something.
Yes, build upon that. The mere fact that you're breathing air, that is great. You're on this side of the dirt. So that's something that we can start there. If you can't think of anything else, let's start there.
Just start. I started above ground today.
Yes, exactly. That's good.
Well, you have an incredible exercise, and this is actually the first podcast, the first video we've ever done where I give homework. So we're going to do some homework because I think your message is so powerful that we can't just listen to and say, oh yeah, that's good. We've got to apply it.
You have to.
So I want to encourage everyone, whether you're watching this video or listening to the podcast, please do this exercise and watch how this one exercise is going to transform your life. And we talked about this before, about writing that letter. I want you to share a little bit about that because this is the homework assignment.
Okay, so I want you all to write a letter to your younger self. Tell your younger self how you overcame whatever that situation you went through. Let's say you're 18 years old. You don't know, should I go to college? Should I start a family? Should I get married? Whatever you were going through at 18, you're now 35. Tell yourself how you overcame that. Tell yourself, don't worry that you had this problem. It's going to work out. And the reason that helps, because your 35-year-old self, you're going through problems today as well. So one day your 75-year-old self will be able to write to your 35-year-old self and help you get through those steps. So if you're looking at that letter to that 18-year-old Kim and you see, if God brought me through this, Amen, He's going to bring me through what I'm going through now. That's another thing, like we talked about, don't get so wrapped up in what's going on now. Think about the bigger picture. This exercise helps you to think about the bigger picture and know that God has not left you. He has not forgotten about you. You're going through what you're going through for a reason, and He's going to be there and He's going to help you through it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now I have a program called Mom Boot Camp. And actually the first exercise we do is that very exercise.
Wow, that's
Isn't that
amazing.
so cool?
Yes.
And the stories, Kim, the stories that have come out of it, just being able to look back at that child who was abused and say,
Mm,
girl, you're going to make it through this. You're going
yes.
to learn compassion that you would have not had normally. Looking back at that girl who got pregnant and didn't know what to do, and she had that child, and then writing back to that girl and say, you made it through that.
Wow.
You're a great mom. You made a
Yes.
hard decision and no one stood by you and you did it. And just providing the evidence, like you said, you know what? God was with me there and I
Yes.
made it here. So now what is possible to get there?
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I really hope that every viewer, every listener do this exercise. You will be happy and you will be so glad you did it. And it's so much fun. It's so
It's
much
so
fun.
much fun. Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's so much fun. Okay, how can people get more of you? Because I know my listeners, I know my followers, and they're like, I'm in love with Kim. So how can they get some more of you?
Please go to my website and follow everything that I do. It's KimberlyDworthy.com. My Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is all my name, Kimberly D. Worthy. So I am definitely not hard to find. And
She
my
made it
email.
easy. You made it easy.
Yep. Info at Kimberly D. Worthy is my email.com.
Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. So you can even email her. Email the letter. Oh, that'd be beautiful.
That
Wouldn't
would
it?
be beautiful. And I respond to everyone. That's one thing about me. It might take me a week or two, but I will respond to every letter you send me.
Oh, beautiful. Get ready to read some amazing letters. Okay, you've got homework.
Yes.
So we're going to take this and we're going to just have an extra blessing today. Write that letter to your younger self. Get in touch with Kimberly and allow yourself to live bigger. I think basically that's what we've been talking about this whole time.
Exactly.
How to take your life and make it matter in such a big way. So thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been a joy. All right, go write that letter and be blessed like crazy.